Hello and welcome to post-match reaction of the All Blacks versus the Pumas. It finished 39-0, a impressive and statement performance by the All Blacks. To go through and have a chat about this game, I've got Stephen Harris joining me. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Paul. Good to be on the show.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me. This essentially turned into the opening kind of sort of 10 minutes. Argentina had some territory and then basically spent the rest of the game in their own half with very little of the ball. They occasionally came out of it, but that was, we're talking. I've rarely seen a game where territory has been so dominated throughout it. And whilst this is 39-0 is still a big win, but I think the Argentina hardly looked like scoring. Never mind being actually in the game.
Yeah, you did right, Paul. I guess we got to give them a bit of credit for scrambling on another day. This score could have gone well over 50. And listen, they scrambled really well. I thought getting a second card in the second half, they'd really struggled to keep pace. But you could see signs of it, like you said, after 20 minutes. A lot of their forwards were starting to walk.
Yeah, even after 20 minutes, they were starting to walk towards the line out, and that was so you could tell that they had gone through a lot of work. Joining us in the live chat, then we've got Nocturnal Rights. He goes, well, and the All Blacks, he got bored in the second half, though, no contest. Yeah, it definitely, the first half was much better than the second half from quality of play point of view. We had a lot more stoppages in the second half, and I've got one stat that'll explain part of that one. We've also got the reviewer joining us saying that basically all the Rugby Championship games so far have been won by more than 17 points. Wow, I hadn't realised that, Stephen. It has all been a bit one side, hasn't it?
I think basically what it's pointing to is probably the two best sides meeting in the last 2 weeks of this competition, Paul. That's pretty much what it's saying at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Richard Sterling here, one of our presenters on our NRL show, The Standoff, which is on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. He says, predominant, felt like over 60% of the ball for the All Blacks. And yes, 62% territory, 62% possession, 69% territory. And it really was the territory side of things rather than the possession that was overwhelming. In that the Pumas just didn't get an opportunity to put any phases together in the All Blacks half. I think they threw up a stat at one point that showed several minutes for the All Blacks in the Pumas 22, and then the Pumas with like 23 seconds in the All Blacks 22. So from that point of view, but you're quite right. I mean, even they had to make 199 tackles in this game, attempted 228, but still 87% tackle efficiency. Here we've got a team that is absolutely knackered, being asked to make twice as many tackles as most teams will do in a game, and they were still up for it. Right, they don't really know when, or they never give in. They just keep on going, don't they?
Oh, they got a lot of heart. And you could theoretically, they probably saved. I think the All Blacks might have went across the whitewash about on 3 or 4 occasions, and they managed to get a body or a hand under the ball. So you can't question their effort or their determination. But I think to really be in this contest, they needed to be close at halftime and at least have some points on the board, as they were a year ago when they upset the All Blacks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so in that first half, then we had the opening try. There was a line out, and then Severin Rees went over. No, sorry, wrong one here. Sorry, the first one was Rico scoring, wasn't it?
Yep.
With Bowden offloading, a bit of a knockback by Argentina, and Rico winning. So a bit of a lucky one there in that to get them off the mark. But they had already spent quite a bit of time, or already were spending time in the Pumas 22, which is what was leading to that pressure on that one. Then I guess we had the story of the game, or one of the sort of subplots of the game, which was disallowed tries, or tries that just weren't quite there.
Yeah.
We had Geordie chasing a crossfield kick that he just couldn't quite get down. before it went over the dead ball line. But I mean, amazing, some great skills by Geordie there. And then the Pumas had a shot at goal, which was their only scoring opportunity really in the whole game, and which kind of was a bit short and to the side. But I think that was a sensible thing though at that stage, was going for post, Stephen. And I think the Pumas needed to get on the board, didn't they? So they needed to take any opportunity that came their way.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised as well because it came up really short. You know, we know Sanchez is a good striker of the ball, and he did. You know, there were times, especially with ball in hand, you saw the footwork that he's got and he's capable of. But really, I don't think they could get over the advantage line. A lot of their running was sideways and one off. And you know, we spoke about the during our rugby. We've got a rugby chat line. We were talking about at times maybe both teams guilty of slowing each other's ball down, and I think the All Blacks did that really, really well. Did enough to to slow them ball around and not give them an advantage line.
Yeah, I knocked on right. So one of the things about Nick Berry was allowing the tacklers too often to not release the ball carrier. Yeah, I mean, look, one of the tactics that was working really well for the Pumas in that first half was they were able to hold the player up, and he eventually got a knee down, but by then it had already been slowed down. They weren't generally turning it into a maul, but they were doing enough that it was kind of what do you call it? It was slowed down enough that the All Blacks weren't being able to get that pressure. And when they did start getting quick ball, that is when that's what really led to those to getting the territory, getting over the airline, and getting those 2 tries just before half time. Admittedly, both came off line-out mauls to one degree or another.
I'll tell you the other thing, Paul. I think just in terms of that tackle area, I think sometimes you just got to get your placement, your body in the right position as well, and just in terms of the way that you're falling. There was an example, probably a good 5 minutes before halftime, where there was just a slight adjustment where the All Blacks were actually moving the body back a little bit just to place the ball. That just gives you, just that split second. I thought there were times where once they got locked in and an Argentinian player got over the ball, I think it was pretty much lost that breakdown. But I think there were times that little adjustment that they made. You saw a perfect example of Rico Ioane doing it, where he was taking the tackle and he was slightly isolated. The clean-out player was slightly late, but he actually adjusted his body, and he adjusted his body to the point where the Argentinian player coming over the ruck actually fell down into the ruck, conceding the penalty. So sometimes when the referee's not officiating it the way that you're seeing it, I think you have to adjust your game as well.
Yep, yeah, I definitely agree. And Bo is joining us as well, again in the darkness. Hopefully he hasn't lost power again and he's running on his generator, but that might be what's happening there. AK's clearly been listening to this before, because he goes, "This Bridge is certainly no Ben Smith, Paul," which is a comment that I've made a few times. He's a Ben Smith style player rather than necessarily as good as Ben Smith. But anyway, I'll just clarify that. But yeah, so sorry, go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, look, I agree with Steve on one count. The technique which the All Blacks were using, it's called the long arm ball placement, something players practice quite a bit. And what they basically try and do is, in one dynamic movement, you kind of almost twist into a shape like a letter C, where your arms kind of extend to almost where your ankles are. It's kind of like in that fetal position, you just kind of overextend. And just making it difficult for the arriving ball players or the jackals to actually get their hands on the ball. The other side of it, of course, I've been very vocal about this. I think there's a few referees in World Rugby who just don't position themselves correctly. So, look, if you can get away with it, fantastic. But all it does is it just kind of slows the ball and slows the game down. And it's just something which we didn't see last week. If you notice, the referee was right onto it, and we had a much faster game. But good on the Pumas for trying their luck. They got away with it, but eventually the scoreboard just told the entire story.
Yeah, those 2 tries on half time. First off, just before half time, we had Reece going over he had about 4 players in front of him, and when he was 5 meters out, but managed to kind of weave and dive his way through the 4 players to score a try. So very good work from him. Not your winger's try by any stretch. Kind of more what you think a centre or a loose forward might do to score from that position. So Sevu Reece really went looking for the ball this evening and did a lot of work up the middle of the pitch. And that was followed up by Papulehi's line-out maul try, that more conventional one there, which meant suddenly the game blew out from being 10-0 to 22-0 in that last 4 minutes of the half. And that's pretty much where the game sort of disappeared at that point, I think.
Yep, got to go along with you, Paul. I think just before halftime, I thought, it kind of broke them when they got to 17. I think that try, pretty much right on halftime, the Dalton Papali'i try with the Geordie Barrett conversion. And actually, I was really delighted to see that goal kicking change come in relatively early, because I think that strike of Sevu Reece's try pretty much told you it wasn't going to be. It wasn't going to be Beauden Barrett's night. To be honest, that was an absolute shocker. And they made the adjustment, changed the goal kicker, and really good move.
Yeah, look, there's nothing like making a player work for his food, and that's it shows with Sevu Reece. He gets dropped, albeit tactical, 1 week, and then he comes back, and he plays himself right into contention. I mean, lots of work. One thing I have to say about Sevu is he's very, very deceptive for his size. His strength is phenomenal, and particularly the upper body strength, where he actually can take a higher than usual level of contact, stay on his feet, and he has the awareness to spin out of tackles. And as you rightly pointed out, Paul and Steve, it was just phenomenal what he did there. And boy, isn't it nice to see a goal kicker like Geordie come and bang those points over? Because really, I mean, persisting with Beauden was, that was just, that last kick he missed. It is unforgivable at this level. That looked tired. He looked a bit lazy there, I thought, and tactically it was the right thing. Swap one Barrett for the other.
I think that first half flowed really well. I mean, we had one scrum in the first half, which amazed me. So, 81% territorial possession coverage when it was now that I noted down to 19 for the All Blacks, and it was pretty. It was basically after about the first 10 minutes, just camped in the Argentinian half, particularly their 22, they would have been very happy. They would have been very relieved, I think, to have picked up those last 2 tries before half time, because they were not getting the reward for the possession that they had before then. 10-0 did not show the flow of the game or the it was fantastic defensive effort by the Jaguares, not the Jaguares. Jesus, the Pumas. Sorry, at that point. Just have a quick halftime advert break then. Halftime in the game, that is. If you would like to support us, please do support us on this channel by heading over to patreon.com/NZ Sport Radio, so that we can get the kit we need and buy Boa some extra light bulbs so that we can actually see him. Then please head over there and support the and get sport channel, and also get access to exclusive videos and podcasts for as little as $1 a month. It's entirely up to you how much you want to give for that one. Moving on to the second half then, and we had one of the tries of the season. Definitely there. TJ Perenara taking quick taps, and clearly the All Blacks wanting to take this to speed this game up. Spun the ball wide. We had the break down of the wing, and the bridge was basically running into a blind alley, so he kept the ball alive. Ball came back. Beauden Barrett found a big gap that he ran through, avoided defenders for a bit, then took contact, and then did a one-handed reverse pass out to Luke Jacobson about 10 meters away. That's going to go down as one of the passes of the year, hasn't it, Bella?
Yeah, look, that's what people come to watch and expect from the All Blacks. And when everything sticks, it looks amazing. It's what I call the silk. And look, the key is whenever the All Blacks attack the fringes, that's where the gaps tend to open up, and it all comes down to the quality of the passing in the midfield. So whenever there's broken play, and particularly if our halfback, in this instance, TJ Perinara, takes a quick tap and he looks to ping the corners, that's where the gaps open up. So I think all in all, it was a good sort of training park run where the structure, the Argentinians lost their structure and they got caught on the back foot. But again, that reverse pass, man, that was straight out of that's the sort of stuff you fantasize about when you grow up playing rugby, where you could do that at test level, and it certainly set the test alight. So early contender for try of probably the season, and hopefully they can get better, particularly with next week looming around.
Yeah, it's the sort of pass you see when you get a group of guys down on a park having a bit of fun, throwing the ball around. Then they get bored with the left and right pass, and then decide they should throw passes around the corner. It's the only problem is this guy does it on the highest stage of rugby, and you just go, "Wow, seriously."
But yeah, and also he finds the guy. Whereas quite often when you're doing it in the park, it's definitely bouncing. Bouncing off the grass a lot with that one. We then had two disallowed trials, two tries that didn't, that weren't allowed. But Bowie, you said there that it was around the edges or out wide where they managed to get the joy, but the inside ball became a big thing in the second half, where to stop the Argentinian defense from basically floating off onto the next person. There was definitely some room inside when they looked for it, and I guess perhaps a slight concern here that it took the coaches, because Geordie started kicking after half time. Using that inside ball happened after half time. That all seemed to be done. That seemed to be a coaching change, not a leadership on the pitch change.
Yeah, look, one thing I have to say is, particularly after that yellow card in what was the 40th minute, the Argentinians didn't actually defend the fringes or the very axis of the ruck. And I think that's what the All Blacks understood. And probably a coach-driven thing. It came from the sidelines, and they looked for that inside pass because the Argentinian defense, it was almost like what you call an open umbrella or a parabolic defense. They were sort of moving forward, and a number of times they were offside. So that inside pass, I think there were 4 inside passes back to back to back, and it just kept giving post-contact meters. So look, it was really nice to see. I would have loved to have seen them kick a little bit more, particularly put pressure and get the Argentinians run back. If you saw on one instance we had TJ Perinara do that really well. He saw the gap, he put the ball right back, and obviously now you can't force it because it'll be a kick back. So I just felt like they were trying a few things in anticipation for next week's big game, because particularly just before halftime, once that big part.
The big game's in 2 weeks. We've got Argentina again next week.
That's right. So it was good. It was good, and the All Blacks didn't quite really put the foot down. I thought they just sort of, at times it looked like they were having a bit of fun. So it'll be interesting to see how things progress from here.
Yeah, I mean, some of the interplay, as Hayden says on Facebook, some of the interplay was fantastic, was outstanding. Yeah, we had 14 offloads in this game from the All Blacks, which was there. But hey, with Quade Cooper in the next game, who knows how many offloads we'll get from that one. But sorry, in response to Aaron's comment in the live chat there, it was very interesting that Amur went off after 43 minutes. On 49 minutes, we lost Bowden and Havili. Well, they replaced Bowden and Havili. They really went to that bench early doors, didn't they, to give the guys on the bench a lot of some minutes as well in players like Dane McKenzie, who hasn't played 10 much recently, Quintapaya, and also Samisoni Tokelahi.
Yeah, good move in my opinion. You got a big 3 weeks coming up, especially it's now looking. I'm not sounding arrogant. You've still got to play the Los Pumas again next weekend, but I tell you what, now's the time to to basically give these guys a rest. I mean, so the Pumas did incredibly well. You said before how many tackles that they made. Boy, it just makes you wonder how much petrol they're going to have in the tank this time next week when they have to roll out and actually do this again, where some of these guys who were replaced in the All Black team today will be fresh for next week and ready to go. And of course, there's a couple of names to still come back into the side. For me, what's really, really impressive is, the depth. The depth is actually starting to show right now, and some guys are really starting to take their opportunity. I mean, as I thought, Amua started slowly, but gee, he got really better. The game went on, and I thought that locking combination of Barrett and Retallick, given that chances are we're not going to see a lot of Whitelock, if at all. I think they're just starting to mould a really good combination, those two. And Luke Jacobson, not my cup of tea, but boy, he got better as the game went.
Yeah, I say we just mentioned that Amua's gone off after 43 minutes. He made 13 carries, admittedly only for 20 meters, but that's that a lot of that work was tiring out that Argentinian defense. The only person who carried more than Amua was Luke Jacobson. Luke Jacobson was on for the full 80 minutes, which just shows you how much work Amua got through in the time that he was on there with that. One of the points Archie breaks here is that line out is still a problem for us. All long throws look dodgy. Yes, there were he makes the question of how many tries were left out there. Well, there were at least two who left out there from just line outs close in the 22 that were just overthrown or stolen at the back where the mauls could have been available. So and that is on top of the 3 tries that were not given, correctly not given. I mean, we're not trying to say that there was anything wrong with them, or anything wrong with the officiating from that point of view. But yeah, so that's at least 5 tries that were potentially on. Now, you can't say, the rest of the game would have happened exactly the same if those 5 tries had happened, or if any of those tries had happened. But still, there is something like 35 points were left out there. Yeah, this could easily have been a 60-odd point game with this one. Alstrom says Dalton pretty Sam Kane-like. Yeah, he had a good game defensively, attacking-wise. Only 3 carries, which made him one of the lowest carriers. But that's not what he's been picked for. And in that one, Arsenal decided we'll talk about this game, not the next game, so we won't bother about whether we'll have scrum issues going forwards or not. We then had Bridge going close, just held up. From my mind, actually, I was wondering, should the try have been allowed even if he had got it down? As in, how long can you hold on to the ball before you're supposed to release it when you're tackled? But anyway, that didn't come up because he was held up, and some fantastic work there. We're 29-0 down, and as we've said, the Pumas chasing absolutely everything. And then Blackadder decided his knee touched the ground. He took 3 or 4 more driving steps to get over. So that was disallowed for double movement. But yeah, it was a matter of we're suddenly thinking with basically an hour gone, we're going, wow, it's only 29-0, and there's only been 1 try in that second half. Is there a problem for the All Blacks about the fact they're not scoring that first 20 minutes of each half, or leaving tries till late?
No, not at all. I think that particular instance where we didn't score, where the All Blacks didn't score, there was 9 penalties in about 8.5 minutes, and there's so many stoppages. So from a tactical point of view, that's actually quite brilliant, because all you're doing is pinging your opposition and tiring them out, 5 meters away from a defensive position. So, fast forward 2 weeks from now, if they can do that to the box, that would probably be the winning and, not winning the game. So I thought it was fantastic. And also, look, it got a bit ridiculous because in and amongst all those penalties, there's probably about 6 or 7 other advantages. And I thought, I think it was Matera, he infringed, it was very cynical, twice back to back. And he was on 1 yellow card already anyway. So it got a little bit messy. So no great reason to be concerned. Although what I would be doing is, if I get from tactical or coaching point of view, if we get an opportunity that close, take the points, build the scoreboard, kill the clock, and play some smart rugby.
Yeah, look, the second half, as I mentioned, in the first half there was one scrum. In the second half, there were 11 scrums, which so there's so that's a scrum every 4 minutes. Add into that, the Argentina started giving up a lot more penalties. It ended up being 11 given up by the All Blacks, but 18 by Argentina. That's about twice as many as a coach is going to be happy with. So, and that included two yellow cards. So, it was a very disjointed second half, which meant it overran. And this is why this show started probably about 10 minutes late, because this was a longer game than, I mean, not as long as the as game 2 of the Springboks versus the British and Irish Lions, but still, this game overran because that second half overran. We had TMO used quite a lot. I mean, also we had those 2 tries to be looked at. We got blown up for other things to be looked at as well. So we used the TMO about 4 or 5 times. We had those 11 scrums plus those penalty breaks, and it really was a slow second half.
Those stoppages were heaven sent for the Argentinians, because if the pace had remained the same as the first half, and Boyer will agree with me, basically the score would have blown out. But I think the fact that it's stagnated. But I think even as the All Blacks, you probably get to a stage where, listen, we know we've got this 10 minutes to go. Should we kick to the corner? No, we could chuck this penalty over. And I think that's pretty much that was the mindset. Listen, we've done what we've had to do. We picked up the bonus point. Yeah, these guys have given us a good, what I will call a training field workout, but we've got another 3 weeks of this to go.
Yeah. In the modern game, gentlemen, like purely from a coaching point of view at high performance, moving a defensive side to side, and just keeping the pressure on them for a good concerted period of time is not a bad thing at all. So in that sense, the All Blacks would have achieved what they would have wanted to from that, particularly next week and then the week after against the Springboks, because they're going to go through periods like that, particularly against the Springboks, because the Springboks have a very similar blitz or a rush defense. Obviously, they're going to be a lot better. I'm assuming they're going to be a lot better than the Argentinians. And maybe, we might see a similar tactic at the breakdown, where they're actually leaning in with one knee and just that first player straight over, putting the hands on the ball just to slow it down that touch. So I see this as a wonderful dress rehearsal, with all due respect to the Pumas. But all in all, I think the All Blacks will be happy, particularly with that period, because it was just, I think, less than 90 seconds in real time, ball live in play over 11-minute period.
Yeah, well, I think we talk a lot about the All Blacks. We should talk about the Argentinians enough. The reviewer asks us, where does Argentina go from here, boys?
Boy, that's a really good question, because this game tonight would have expended a lot of energy. Like tonight, apart from a couple of the props that they lost, this was pretty much back to full strength for this Argentinian side. And to be honest, the thing I'm trying to get my head around, where have they gone in the last year? Because a year ago they were looking like giant killers, and they've just gone backwards in a major way. Has the Michael Cheika shine worn off in the last 12 months, beg your pardon?
Well, and look, they've got to kick their goals. I mean, gentlemen, if you rewind to last year, they kicked 6 penalty goals in that we know the All Blacks. So they've just got to go back to what works for them. And today, when Nico Sanchez had a crack, he missed it, and that's because he was low on confidence and he was getting knocked about. So whenever they get an opportunity, even if it's 50 meters out, they've just got to back themselves, because even if they do miss the kick, it means that the All Blacks have to restart and kick back into them. So it's got to get a little bit smarter. They got to kill the clock, and just trying to put it out into touch and hoping that they'd win a line out against what was a pretty resolute All Black defense. And something I have to say today was, apart from 1 or 2 hits, they were nice and low. They bent at the knees, got nice and square, and they put some big hits, some real solid hits, particularly when the Rhino Tokeaho came in. He broke a couple of Argentinians in half. So they've just got to go back and kind of dial back the clock literally, and think, look, when we get a chance taking the 3, let's take the 3.
So to my mind, I think what's the big difference this year than last year is last year, look, COVID had stopped all the rugby games, basically the what do you call it? The Pumas team were together for about 6 to 8 months, leading up to the Tri Nations, and they basically couldn't leave the bubble because they knew they would never get back out of Argentina. So there was no holidays. They were together. They had a lot of time together. This one, they had their games against before the July internationals. They were with their European clubs. Then you had they met for the July internationals, had to go back to their clubs or go on holiday. They then just gathered about 2 weeks or a week before the games against South Africa. And so the whole build-up has been different this year. And they've lost a couple of players, have gone back to their French clubs, for example, as well, a couple of their props. So I think the whole setup this year, we're getting back into the sort of situation that we have with the Pacific Island teams of just not getting the time together as a squad, having players who aren't available because of their European commitments with their clubs, who don't make themselves available. And to me, that's with the loss of the Jaguares, where they had got ownership of their players all for 12 months a year, has gone. I think this is the future of the Pumas until they can get professional rugby in Argentina again, unfortunately.
And also, with the greatest of respect for the Pumas, they've just got to hope that the All Blacks don't bring their A game, which is pretty much what happened last time, and they got caught out. And the Pumas have to really turn up and give it everything. So they didn't do that today. They tried in patches, and again, there's got to be a lot more tactical, particularly around forcing the 50-22 and also the kickback or the goal line dropout. So it's got to be a little bit more smarter when they have ball in hand.
I'll tell you what, they'll be sweating on the fitness of Nicolas Sanchez as well, because he's a big part of their attack. No offence to the other guy who played for the Western Force this year. Is it? I'll get to his name. Milty, who played for the Western Force. Good memory, Paul. Yeah, I don't think he's the same sort of player as Sanchez, and I can see them getting battered again next week, and it'll probably be a perfect way for maybe the Australians to basically finish their rugby championship. On saying that, we got another game coming up in about 20 odd minutes or so.
We are, which I was just going to wrap this up now. So because after we'd had a quick chat about the Argentina. So thank you very much, boys. So we'll be back straight away after the Springbok, the Wallabies versus the Springboks. I think we'll have John on for that one. I think Stephen, with work in the morning, will probably find the midnight show a little bit late to get onto. I'm sure we'll see whether Boa's stayed awake during the Wallabies Springboks game.
Fall asleep, guaranteed. Halftime, I'll be fine.
But I will be here at least. So do join us after midnight, or basically after the next game, which will be about midnight. Also, folks, do support the New Zealand Sport Radio through our Patreon page, patreon.com/NZ Sport Radio. Look, it does help us put the tech together that we need to be able to bring these shows to you. We need the broadcast software, so there's various subscriptions we also need as well. So please do help us out there. And Stephen, Boa, thank you very much, and on to the next game.